fall. An upper tropospheric cyclone usually moves slowly basically and move east to west and they are prevalent in summer season, and it is circulation generally do not extend below 6,000 meter in altitude, and the remain of this cyclone upper tropospheric westerly and through tropical upper tropospheric, and from the westerly move deep into the tropical latitude region. It is very important. And as divergence prevails, there are the upper atmospheric divergence on the eastern side of the through and the rising motion basically, and further this abundant and through the remains to the temperature cyclone usually cold core and suggestion there the temperature environmental lapse rate is stiffer, and such instability encourage thunderstorm is very important. And an upper tropospheric westerly through is important for tropical cyclone forecasting, and this is because the fast moving upper tropospheric westerly through can create the large vertical winds and share the disturbance, and it is very important and relevant this topic, and must you know they are fast moving upper tropospheric westerly basically they are the upper tropospheric uh, and vertical winds here over the tropical disturbance and tropical cyclone which may inhabit, and there are the stream raining and slow moving upper tropospheric westerly, and who can the drive the tropical cyclone and eastward or eastward also. And also it is very important due to when their cyclone they create, it will be very important must will carefully listen and watching my channel. Now very interesting their convective cyclogenesis basically, and today's my topic. Convective cyclogenesis means the development of tropical cyclone basically. Con Cyclogenesis basically cyclogenesis is the development of steering of cyclonic circulation in the atmosphere, and cyclogenesis involve any of these three process basically, convective cyclogenesis or tropical cyclone formation, and frontal cyclogenesis of extratropical cyclone formation, and mesocyclogenesis and basically meso cyclone and forming as one core, and cyclone giving rise to tornado and water sport, and there are the different creation I explained about. There are the convective cyclogenesis must carefully watching, and there are the tropical cyclone have a thermal origin basically, have a thermal origin, and they develop over tropical seas during late summer and August to mid November. At this location, under favorable condition and multiple thunderstorm and strong, there are the local convectional currents basically. There are the march and create an intense low pressure system, and system low level disturbance. When there are the cooler air and sometimes there are the warm air, you see here the smell, and they create the thunderstorm basically. There are the winds, and the tropical cyclone have a thermal origin basically, and they develop over tropical seas during late summer basically, late summer and August to mid November, and at this location under the favorable condition. And also there are the tropical depression, three main concept when the formation of tropical cyclone basically they are important in this concept. There are the tropical depression maximum sustained wind speed there are the less than 63 kilometer per hour, and tropical storm there are the 63 kilometer per hour, and the maximum sustained their wind speed greater than 190 kilometer, and tropical cyclone maximum sustained wind speed basically they are greater than 119 kilometer basically. The intense low pressure system there are the might acquired and whirling motion because of the coriolis force and giving rise a tropical depression. A tropical depression has sustained wind below 63 kilometer also, And also their second point is very important. Tropical storm, basically they're 63 km and maximum their sustained wind speed 119 km, due to there are the tropical depression and develop into a tropical storm. When the cyclonic circulation become more organized and the maximum sustained winds and the above 63 km but below the 119 km per hour, at this point the distinctive cyclone shape start over, although the eye is not usually present, is very important. And next, number third, the tropical cyclone, their maximum sustained wind speed 109 kilometer 19 kilometer, basically there are the as the tropical storm intensify and acquire a maximum sustained and wind speed 119 kilometer, and also they are develop the tropical cyclone. And a cyclone in this intensity and the trend of develop an eye, and there are relative claim to the lower atmospheric pressure in a tropical cyclone at in the center of circulation. It is very important and today my lecture. And you know there are the maximum sustained wind speed. You see the slide, there are the welcome Sujit Das must will share in your all friend groups today's very interesting session. And you know their geography with Nandranath every time for you and every time will be for you. And maximum sustained wind speed, when we'll see the wind speed, their storm and Indian Meteorological Department IMD use a 3 minutes average for the sustained winds. Basically their maximum sustained winds is the highest 3 minutes surface and winds and occurring with the circulation of the system. Please comment, clear my audio, please anybody comment, please comment me. Basically due to internet sometime their problem. So in this slide are you know their maximum sustained wind speed, how it's possible, and Indian Meteorological Department basically issue three average their sustained winds, and sometime their Zoomer must will satellite imagery analysis, and also how tropical storm are formed. Very interesting on the early stage. There are the different stage also will be able to the create the tropical storm or form. First of all, water evaporate and from the ocean surface and the come into the contact with the mass of the cold air and forming cloud. You see, and there are the create the cloud. There are the create at the daytime. The temperature, ocean, there are the water vapor create and the cloud create. And next of all, the column of low pressure develop at the center. Winds form around the column, you know, and there are the create. And as pressure in the central column I witness the speed of the winds around the increase. So details you know about the next slides. When you will detail analysis in this topic, carefully watch the video when you will detail analysis, but actually there are many video on YouTube, but there are no proper explanation and the detail analysis. So when you will PG student and if you will go to UPSC and NTA NET must will analysis and detail and micro study. And in the thunderstorm air is uplifted as is warm and light, and the a certain height basically due to lapse rate and adiabatic lapse rate, the temperature of air fall and the moisture in their air undergoes the condensation, and condensation release a latent heat of condensation making the air warmer, and it become much the lighter and it is the further uplifted. And you see there the further uplifted and the space is filled by fresh moisture latent, there is the hidden air condensation. You can get, and condensation occur in this air and the cycle are repeated as the long moisture is supplied, and due to express the moisture over the ocean the thunderstorm intensify and sag in the air and must faster rate, and the air from surrounding rushes undergoes and deflected due to Coriolis force creating. I must will visit my another live session there also explain how thunderstorm create and cyclone. Must will visit my channel, there are many videos about this topic. And very interesting, the air from surrounding grasses in the undergoes the deflection due to Coriolis force and creating a cyclonic vortex. Basically you see clearly there are the due to centripetal acceleration. Basically the air in the vortex is forced to form a region of calmness and called the eye. Basically I also explain, and eye at the center of cyclone and centripetal force basically and pulling towards the center is countered by a opposing force and called the centrifugal force. Sometimes their question NTA NET, basically centrifugal force pulling towards the center is in the countered and by the opposing force that called the centrifugal force basically. And there are the their centrifugal force, and also some antivirus disturbance. And there are the I is created due to transitional force basically acting on the high speed and wind that is flowing in the car path, and the intense low pressure to greater wind speed to greater coriolis force to greater deflection, and the diameter of the eye depend on the wind speed, and greater the wind speed and larger the eye region. Very interesting in this talk, the greater the wind speed and larger the eye region. Must carefully watching my lectures, and today is very interesting due to basically centrifugal acceleration. Basically centrifugal uh, acceleration is very important. Basically, I once again talk the air in the vortex is force from the region to clearness. Basically, clearness called as I center for the cyclone, and centrifugal force pulling towards the center is countered by the opposing force called the centrifugal force. Okay, and very interesting in a cyclonic vortex and the intense low pressure, when they are create the low pressure act as the starting that the hold the vortex in the place. Very interesting line. Must carefully listen and remember. In a cyclonic vortex, the intense low pressure acts as the starting and that hold the vortex and in place. And all the wind that is carried upward loses its moisture and become cold and dense in the surface through their cylindrical eye region. Clear? There are the cylindrical eye region and the ease of the cyclone. Must carefully visit my channel. There are the some hurricane cyclone live track when I commentary. There are the explain with videograph, satellite videograph. Must will visit my channel. There are the different latest and present time cyclone, and I also present the live session. And there I talk about the eye of cyclone, wall of cyclone. Must will visit my channel. And if the storm does not make landfall and it is the ocean can supply more moisture and the storm will reach a mature stage. Very interesting. And there are the in this slide, carefully watching this slide, there are the eye, basically this when they create the eye, basically when they create the eye, and the eye is a roughly circular area of comparatively light winds and fair weather, and there is little or no precipitation, and the sometime a blue sky. Sometimes there blue sky or star can be seen, and although along the eye the air basically is slowly sinking and is heated due to compressional warming. Very interesting. And this is the adiabatic basically. When don't forget, this is the adiabatic, and the eye temperature may be 10 degrees centigrade warmer or more at the altitude of 12 km than the surrounding environment, but only 0 to 2 degrees centigrade warmer at the surface in the tropical cyclone. And AI is range is size from the 8 km to over 200 km across. Very interesting. But most are approximately 30 to 60 km diameter. Very interesting. In the eye, there are the distance. There are the maximum 30 to 60 km. But there are in this call there are the eye well, and it is the eye and the flow. And when there Indian Ocean, basically Bay of Bengal, when the cyclone create their anti-clockwise, basically there are the flow, and outflow in this dangerous part of the outer portion of the cyclone. This is the dangerous portion, and this is the dangerous. But the eye is a roughly circular area of the comparatively light winds and the fair weather. Sometimes there is little and no precipitation, and sometimes blue sky. Very interesting, and star can be seen. And all the eyes, basically the air is slowly sinking and is heated due to compressional warming adiabatic. Basically, no. So there are the characteristics of the eye wall is very important for when the forming cyclone, tropical cyclone, any cyclone, and they are must carefully watching and listening, and must be remembering. It is very important for you. Basically, the eye is surrounded by an eye wall. You see, they are the surrounded in this eye. Basically, an eye wall, and this eye is surrounded by an eye wall, the most violent and region in the cyclone, and it is roughly circular and ring of the deep convection and heaviest rainfall in the cyclone. But is very remembering thoughts that eye wall and region experience that the maximum sustained winds and faster winds in a cyclone. Very interesting. When see there are the storm rotation, there are the clockwise and rain bands, and there are the cold falling, and also there are warm rising here, and there are the outflow crisis sailed, and an area highest pressure, and sometimes there are the difference the warm water and warm winds and cold winds, and very interesting. And mechanism of the mature stage, you see at present now in the slide the mechanism the mature stage, the complete mature, and then there are the warm air flow and their cool air flow automatically start. Very interesting. Rainfall intensity, they are light and heavy. Very interesting. And there are the create the column and the nimbus cloud. Basically, there are the different goo. There are the cumulonimbus cloud and nimbus tetras. Also, there are cumulus. There are when their analysis, their upper level, there are the atmospheric cloud condition, and that change the cumulus and nimbostratus, also the cumulonimbus, and they are the cirrotetras all around their clouds, and the whole area they are 50 kilometer around base are they are circulate and move there at the depression area. So it is very interesting, and so this is very on this stage the spiraling, basically spiraling, and winds then create the multiple convective and sail sand and rain band with the successive and claim with violent region also. And cloud formation is dense and at the center, and the cloud size and decrease from the center to periphery, and central dense overcast, CDO. Basically CDO basically is the cirrus cloud and cell mostly made up of hexagonal ice crystal, and the result from the thunderstorm in the eye wall of the tropical cyclone, and it is the rain bands. Very interesting. Carefully listen and carefully watching this video lecture. There is thunderstorm in the eye wall of tropical cyclone, and basically rain bands. It is rain bands, and before the tropical cyclone is very severe and cyclonic storm like 119 kilometer, and typically the CDO unformally and showing the cold cloud tops and the cirrus with no eye apparent, and the dry air flowing along the central dense and overcast descent there the periphery and eye region. Very interesting. You see there the warm air eye flow and cool air flow, and definitely they are showing and they are different color. Must carefully watching in this condition and this stage their final. And rain bands must carefully watching the rain bands. Basically rain bands spiral band, basically it's called rain band, the spiral band. Convection in tropical cyclone is organized into long and narrow rain bands, and which are oriented in the same direction as the horizontal winds, and direct circulation develop in which warm and moisture and convergence and the surface and the ascents, and through these bands and divergent have lived and the descents on the both sides of the bands. And because these bands seem to spiral into the center of the tropical cyclone, and they are called spiral bands. Clear? Spiral bands, basically these bands seem to spiral into the center of the tropical cyclone, and they are called the spiral bands. And rain band, basically their rain band are mostly made up of cumulonimbus clouds. Very interesting. Sometimes their question of internet. Rain bands are mostly made up of cumulonimbus cloud and their highest rainfall basically, and one of the periphery are made of the pneumobusters and the prolonged and the rainfall and the cumulus clouds. Very interesting. And the vertical structure of the tropical cyclone is very important for this session. The vertical structure of the tropical cyclone, basically there are the three division into the vertical structure of the tropical cyclone. The lowest layer and extending up to 3 km and known as the inflow layer is the responsible for driving the storm, and the middle layer and extending from 3 km to 7 km is where the main cyclonic storm take place, and the outer layer is lies between the 7 km and also the maximum outflow is found at 12 km and above. The movement of air is anticyclonic nature. Very interesting. Basically there are the vertical structure. Basically there are the vertical structure of the cyclone, there are the three division in the vertical structure. There are the three division basically, and there are the lowest layer extending up to 3 km and known as the inflow layer and is the responsible for driving the storm, and the middle layer, basically middle layer, there are the their middle layer basically extending from 3 km to 7 km and is where the main cyclonic storm take place, and the outflow layer lies above the 7 km maximum outflow. It is very interesting, and this is today my lecture. Basically, there are the very interesting and region. There are different Indian Ocean when they are called cyclone, and Atlantic Ocean when they are create called their hurricane, and Western Pacific called their typhoon, and China Sea also they are called typhoons, and Western Australia they are called Willy and Willy. And today's session basically in this topic, and must will watching my channel, and if you are new must will subscribe, and there are the every schedule must will click there are bell icon. Basically without bell icon please you don't get the notification my another video, and also my Sunday live is very interesting topic. Must will visit my Sunday live. Sunday live is very interesting topic during कोविड 19, जो कि आप जानते हैं हमारे संडे के लाइव जो है उसमें कोविड 19 हमने क्या सिखाया और हमें लाइफस्टाइल में क्या चेंजेस लाना होगा। तो संडे हम आ रहे हैं बहुत अच्छा टॉपिक के साथ 8 बजे इवनिंग कल आप जुड़े रहेंगे, और इनवाइट करता हूं आप सभी। संडे जो लाइव है हमारे चैनल में कमिंग लाइव में आपको दिख जाएगा, उसमें जरूर आएंगे। कल हम काफ़ी अच्छा सोच विचारों के साथ हम बातचीत करेंगे। आप लाइव चैट कर सकते हैं, लाइव चैट ऑन रहेगा। आज चलते हैं, फिर मिलेंगे नया टॉपिक के साथ। मैं हूँ डॉक्टर नंदनाथ, चैतन्य कॉलेज जांजगीर चांपा। जय हिंद, थैंक यू टू ऑल।